You're watching the 6:15 primetime newscast in English language from Canal. My name is Gladys Ambodiba. Stay tuned for the headlines. Yaoundé city dwellers have suffered severe floods following heavy rains that battered the town yesterday, a situation that left many stranded for several hours at Avenue Kennedy this morning. The traces of the unfortunate situation were still very visible. More than 6,000 children aged 0 to 59 months in Douala have been targeted for the second phase of the campaign against poliomyelitis. The exercise was launched today in Daido neighborhood and would extend to other quarters. Parents have been urged to be nice to the team that will visit their homes for the exercise. And the delegation of African banana producers and distributors on a working visit to Cameroon has expressed concerns over workers' condition within the banana sector. That was one of the major worries during meetings at the hall with different members of the Cameroon government to seek solutions to the several problems affecting the banana sector in Africa. Those were our headlines. Stay tuned for developments. Thanks for joining us once again. We begin with floods in the nation's capital, Yaoundé. The city suffered severe floods following heavy rains yesterday, June 30, 2022, a situation that left the city dwellers stranded for several hours. Visiting Avenue Kennedy this morning, the traces of the unfortunate situation were still very visible, as we hear in the report with Hyson Shia.
After heavy rains this June 30, Yaoundé city was plunged into waters. Floods taking over Yaoundé Avenue Kennedy Commercial Street and the central town. Inhabitants falling into difficulties. According to one of the traders at Avenue Kennedy, the problem started here. Some of the causes experts revealed are the irresponsible behaviors of the city dwellers.
Unfortunately, because of the way the towns are planned, the way people settle, the way people are irresponsible in their attitudes, you see people get waste and just dump them on waterways, on channels that are supposed to this water, rainwater is supposed to run there, it's all blocked. You go there, you find plastics, you find cartons, you find wood, you find this and that. It's all done there.
The environmental expert equally underlines that climate change greatly affects the environment and leads to high rise of flooding.
I think this is largely due to climate change. We have been talking of climate change, and people keep asking questions, but what exactly is climate? That is exactly what we have been talking about, climate change. But the phenomenon of floods in the city of Yaoundé and other localities of Cameroon are largely due to the fact that we receive a lot of rain in a very short space of time.
Local authorities called upon to review the drainage system of the city suffering from floods after every heavy rainfall.
That was Rada Omokosome with a report on floods in the nation's capital, Yaoundé. And then we move to Douala, Cameroon's economic capital, where the second phase of the immunization campaign against poliomyelitis has been launched. The exercise that will run for 3 days. Parents have been called to actually be hospitable to the team that will come visiting to vaccinate their children. You have more with Sherifa Saleh.
This second phase of vaccination campaign against poliomyelitis is targeting 609,000 children in the littoral region of Cameroon. It was revealed at the launch of the campaign this July 1st, 2022, by health experts.
Vaccinating children age 0 to 5 years by administering 2 drops of oral polio vaccine. We'll be able to carry out a head count of children less than 3 months who do not have birth certificates.
The exercise that will run for 3 days started at the Dado neighborhood and shall extend to 24 different health districts of Douala. It was stated that this second phase of poliomyelitis vaccination campaign shall be effective, with teams moving from door to door around neighborhoods, churches, associations, markets, religious gatherings, and travel agencies to administer the vaccine.
And we can also have outreach strategies at the level of the community. Everywhere where we have community gatherings, teams will go there and be able to vaccinate. It may be at the level of churches, it may be at the level of mosques, it may be at the level of markets. Everywhere that you have people, teams will be able to go there to administer these vaccines. So we'll call upon parents to be able to reserve a warm welcome to those teams so that teams can vaccinate their children.
To challenge the first round of campaign that was done in 2021, they call on parents to apply hospitality to teams that will visit their neighborhoods.
We move from health to the economy to talk about the delegation of African banana producers and distributors that were on a working visit to Cameroon. They have rounded up their visits after consulting with different ministers in Cameroon to seek solutions to the problems affecting the sectors. Workers' condition within the banana sector was one of the major highlights when they met the Minister of Labour and Social Security, as we hear in that report with Hyson Shea.
It was over 2 hours of consultations behind closed doors between the Secretary General at the Ministry of Labour and Social Security and the delegation of Afro-Bana on the situation of workers' remuneration within the banana sector in Africa.
Some of the issues that we needed to discuss with the government had to do with issues concerning the welfare of workers, salary levels, and their conditions of service. So the Ministry of Labour is key in discussing this matter. That is why we came here, and we have had very fruitful discussions.
The sector de la mint is undergoing enormous challenges at both production and distribution levels.
Also have a very specific issue right now with the United Kingdom, which is also, as all of us, facing increasing cost of life, but towards which we need to be able to keep going, keep exporting.
Rounding up their 2 days working visits to Cameroon this Friday, members of the delegation from Ghana, Ivory Coast and Cameroon were able to identify some strategies with the government and the European Union.
But the approaches that we'll have to get to communicate our concerns across the institutions that matter in this matter, this is what we discussed. There's a role for there's a role for government, there is a role for business, and that is what we discussed.
The banana producers and distributors urged the different governments and the international community to rescue the domain, which is heavily threatened by the Ukrainian war, making it difficult for the Banana Green Deal to prevail.
And we stay in the economy to talk about local producers or local processing enterprises in Cameroon, especially those producing goods made in Cameroon, have expressed the need for government support in order to have their goods valorized. This was at the launch of the second edition of the International Hybrid Trade Fair that seeks to promote talent and excellence in goods made and services in Africa. You have more in the following report.
Goods made in Cameroon for the consumption of Cameroonians and the world at large. The exhibition of goods by local producers at the launch of this hybrid international trade fair in Douala is an opportunity for the producers to showcase their know-how and talents.
Why we decided to come, first of all, to valorize made in Cameroon products. Yes, what we used to do, our raw material is Cameroonian. We have the best raw material Yes, and we have the expertise. What we do not do it anyhow. It is, for example, we are already at enough for certification. Our documents, our products have been tested, and very soon we have our certification, so we can sell on any market.
I present a many style from Africa, particularly Indomitable Lion, because of the World Cup 2022 of Qatar. Yes, I do that to give emotion to all our supporters and the Indomitable Lion.
Their stumbling block remains lack of finances to produce in larger quantities.
What we expect to meet partners, to be known even by the government, if they can sustain us, if they can bring us finances to develop our business.
After visiting the stands, the organizers and stakeholders were alerted that Cameroon has potentials, competence and standards, reason why there is need to promote their goods and services. The objective is to valorize excellence and innovation of talents of Africans in Africa, because it is time for Africans to promote their know-how in their territory. Secondly, to follow up the enterprises that need our financial and managerial support to succeed. And we use this opportunity to urge African investors to invest on African talents. The International Hybrid Trade Fair that seeks to promote Afro-Caribbean goods and services ends July 2nd, 2022. The next edition has been announced for Casablanca, Morocco next year.
And after a long break of COVID-19, the Federation of the Women Furniture and Non-Timber Forest Material Trade Fair, organized in the nation's capital, Yaoundé, is aimed at portraying to the world what women can do in craftsmanship. The one-week trade fair was launched in the nation's capital, Yaoundé, yesterday, June 30, 2022, by the Minister of Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises, Achille Basilican III. Let's discover what they are showcasing in the following report with Omoko Some.
Plates, decorative objects, jewelries, and trophies are some of the different objects made out of wood by these Cameroonian women. This to showcase their know-how in the domain of crafts.
On this 5th edition of Wood Fair, that is going to transform Cameroon economically, and so he gives all his support to the organizers of this fair. And last year he was impressed. This year he is still impressed, and he encourages them to go ahead.
Empowering women, putting them at the forefront of the screens for what a man can do, a woman can do better, is the goal of the 5th edition of Women Furniture and Non-Timber Forest Fair, launched by the Minister of Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises this June 30th in Yaoundé.
That's why, in fact, the Minister has come here to encourage the women. It is not an easy task for women. You see women in the industry producing all sorts of wood products and non-forest products. He just came to encourage them and to tell them that he's with them. He will not leave them. They should go ahead.
Many happy and very much surprised with their creativity.
Ourselves, we should eat what we do. We should use what we do. It is coming into reality. But what I'm seeing today is sufficiently inspiring.
The women gathered under the Artisanal Feminine Association seized the opportunity to give idle young girls the necessary tools for their empowerment, enough to boost the transformation of non-timber forest materials for their livelihood.
And July 1, a customary date set aside to honor and reward hard work within the Cameroon Military Corps. This year, at the 2nd Joint Military Region in Douala, Cameroon's economic capital, women were highly honored, as we hear from Stephanie Chin.
Decorated with epaulets and medals this July 1, the promoted soldiers are in their numbers at the 2nd Joint Military Region in Douala. A proof of hard work in service, women highly honored.
Very, very I'm here today.
Cela remonte à plusieurs années déjà que je pratiquais le taekwondo, sur le plan militaire comme sur le plan civil. Donc je suis reconnaissante pour cela.
Je remercie le chef de l'État vraiment d'avoir fait cette confiance pour me faire graduer dans cette merveilleuse boîte qui est notre armée.
An award ceremony chaired by the Littoral Governor Samuel Diodene Ivahadzibwa. According to statistics presented on this occasion, 4 persons were awarded the National Order of Value, 10 for the National Order of Cameroonian Merit, 61 chiefs in command, 3 National Orders of Sports Merit, 100 recognized for national merit at the public force, 46 officers, 80 non-commissioned officers, and 100 non-commissioned members.
And it is with that report that we wrap up this edition of the Primetime Newscast in the English language on Canal. The international, the French edition will be yours at this never second with Aimé Catherine and Mokori. Up next is Debrief du Sport with Mark Chouamo. I will be yours again on Monday. Have a nice weekend. Stay tuned to programs on Canada International.